Hydrogen is the answer. That's what so many people seem to say, both personally and in the press. Everyone wants hydrogen to work, but there's a problem with hydrogen, so let's have a look at that. Hydrogen is not an energy source, it's an energy store. Hydrogen doesn't exist in its natural form on Earth. It is combined with other things, and so to get hydrogen we need to split it away from something else. If we're going to do that using renewable energy, it has to be done with electricity, and so the most common way of doing that is to use water and split it into hydrogen and oxygen using an electrolyser. An electrolyser is similar to the process that we probably saw in our physics lessons at school, where we put water and a little bit of salt into a container and then two electrodes, and we pass electricity through the water and it splits into hydrogen and oxygen, and then we can capture the hydrogen and use it in order to power a vehicle. The problem is that electrolysis, even in industrial electrolysers, is not particularly efficient. It's only about 65% efficient. Now that's not awful, but that is quite a lot of energy that we're going to have to put in that we're not going to get back. But the other problem with hydrogen is that once we've got it, we've then got to recombine it in order to get back that energy, in order to be able to do useful work. And that's even less efficient. Generally, in something like a fuel cell, that's only about 50% efficient. Total system efficiency is calculated by multiplying the efficiencies of each step together. So if our hydrogen generation is 65% efficient and our hydrogen use is 50% efficient, or possibly less depending on how we make use of it, then our total system efficiency, the maximum it could be, is 32.5%, and that's not sounding too great. Our energy efficiency doesn't end there. You see, we don't create hydrogen at a pump where we're pumping it into a car. It doesn't work quite like that. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to pressurise it to put it into the tank in the car at the very least. So even if we produce it at the equivalent of a petrol pump, we're going to have to put a lot of energy in order to pressurise it, to put it into a small space. And that's because hydrogen isn't particularly energy dense. So we need a tank at very high pressure in order to be able to hold enough hydrogen to do a decent range. So that's another inefficiency, is the efficiency of compression. And it doesn't end there, because generally electrolysers are going to be very expensive and very big things, so they're not going to be at the pump necessarily. Probably what they're going to be is in some central location, and then we're going to have to create the hydrogen centrally, perhaps in a few locations in the country. We would then pressurise it and maybe store it, and then we'd need to transport it, and all of that is using more energy which has to come from those renewable sources in the first place. So the problem with hydrogen is that it's just going to be too expensive. Of course we can do it, but if a kilowatt of electricity costs a certain amount and we have to put 3, 4, 5 times as much in order to be able to get some work out, that's just going to make it too expensive. So if there's a problem with the fundamental science, or at least economics, of hydrogen, then why does the idea of using hydrogen persist so much? And there are a couple of different reasons, I think, both of which are worth considering. The first is that it's much more similar to what we're used to. If we've driven an internal combustion engine car, we're used to taking a car to a petrol station, putting petrol or diesel or auto gas into it, and then that happens very quickly, and then we drive away again. And so hydrogen feels like a very similar and easy solution, because we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go somewhere, we're going to put some hydrogen into our car, and then we're going to drive away again. And so it seems like a simple solution if you don't think about the economics. Unfortunately, because of the economics, we have to forget the idea that it's going to work that way and get used to the idea that instead of feasting on energy, as we've done with internal combustion engine cars, we're probably going to graze instead in the future. We're going to get energy where we can, when the car is not doing anything else, because that's quite a big difference. You see, with an electric car, you plug it in and you walk away and you go and do something else. So my car pretty much gets refueled overnight while I'm in bed, asleep and dreaming about future electrical wonders. There's another reason that hydrogen keeps coming up though, and it's a little bit more insidious. And that's to do with the fossil fuel companies wanting to have a say in our future, to have relevance in the future of where we're going. You see, they want to be the people that provide the hydrogen. At the moment, 97% of hydrogen that we use, and it is used for industrial processes, 97 or more % of it, particularly in the UK and Europe, comes from splitting fossil fuels, splitting methane into carbon dioxide, which is released into the atmosphere in order to keep the hydrogen. So not so renewable after all. If it's coming from fossil fuels in the first place, then it's really not a renewable energy store. Once that energy has been used, it's released as water and it's gone, and we need to produce some more. And so the fossil fuel industry is keen for two reasons to promote hydrogen. One of them is that they could be the source of hydrogen that we use. But the other one is just to put doubt in our minds, to make us think that there's something coming which is better than what we've got at the moment, and to delay us and to keep us using fossil fuels for as long as possible. You see, they're protecting themselves from a future where they don't matter anymore, where we don't give them any business, where we don't buy anything from them. Hydrogen probably does have a role in the future, a bigger role than it has today, but it'll be for things like industrial processes which are hard to decarbonise any other way. These will be things like steel making and creation of fertiliser, both of which are very difficult without a hydrogen type solution. So when it comes to passenger cars, hydrogen isn't coming. Don't be tempted to wait. Don't play that game of thinking that something will come that solves all the problems. Perfect is the enemy of the good here. We have battery electric vehicles, they're already here, they already work really well. Get yourself better informed about electric vehicles. If you can, try one, and maybe if you're a multi-car family, have one of them as an EV so that you're learning more than you will sat at home watching me on the telly. So there are my thoughts, but what are yours? Your feedback and comments are most welcome. Pop down in the comments section and give me your thoughts there. If you've enjoyed the video, then like it. There's a chance that someone else will see it if you do that. And subscribe for more. Thanks.